Hi everyone. So this is the card we're going to make today. Mother's Day is in 2 Sundays, so I thought I would share the card that I made for my mom and for my mother-in-law. So I'm taking a 4.5 by 8.5 piece of paper and I'm scoring it at 4 1/4. Next, I'm going to use a 4 1/4 diameter die from Sizzix to cut my circle. You'll notice that the die overhangs the score line so that it doesn't cut the two pieces in half. Next, I'm using my geographic paper Smooches stamp set to just add some interest to the background with this zigzag pattern in Stampin' Up's Smokey Slate color. So I'm going to press that in using my Fiskars stamp press. You'll notice there's a little bit of a missed spot there, but I'm not too worried about it, and you'll see why in a later step of the video. Next, I'm going to stamp the first part of my sentiment, which is "You're the Best," from my clearly Besotted The Best stamp set. And it's again off-center. Now I've cut 3 additional pieces. I'll leave the dimensions for these pieces below in my description. But I've cut a circle and made of acetate, as well as 2 rings using the same Sizzix die set. Now I'm gluing them together with the clear acetate below, the white ring, and then the pink on top. The next step was, I did off camera, and I did this while I was watching television, was I used 3 different punches, which I'll show later, to cut these circles out of pink and white and metallic silver Recollections paper. So now I'm just placing these cutouts kind of haphazardly along my background, just so that when my shaker pieces are all at the bottom, there's still some interest on the back of the card. These are the 3 punches that I used to cut them out. And I did that while I was watching TV, just randomly punching out of different pieces of paper. Now, the second half of my sentiment is from the Simon Says Stamp Mum die. So what I did here was I cut the mum out 4 different times, and I'm going to use a Zig 2-way pen to glue the delicate pieces together, just so that the die has some dimension. So now that I've glued them all together, I'm just going to make sure that they are all lying together. So it's a lot easier to do this using a wet glue as opposed to a glue runner, because you can shift and reposition the pieces. And now it kind of forms like a hard chipboard type piece. Now I'm creating the circle that I'm going to use to contain all of my confetti pieces. So what I did was I used some 3M dimensional adhesive, and I cut them into smaller strips. And I found that the smaller you cut the strips, the easier it is to follow the circle. And I'm going to put down my first layer. And the first time I tried making this card, I realized that with one layer, you didn't have enough space between the acetate and the card to allow your shaker pieces to move. So I applied a second layer of this 3M tape, and now I'm going to peel back all those pieces. And then I'm going to take my card base and apply it right over top of the facing of the card. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife here just to trim off a little bit of the 3M adhesive that's showing. And now you can see that I'm just trying it out to make sure there's no holes and that none of my shaker pieces are actually falling out. Now I'm going to adhere the mum to the surface of the card. So I'm going to use some Glossy Accents to do this, just because it's a really strong adhesive. Now the part that I don't show you is I later on take a thin strip of paper and place it in between the front facing and the card base, just to hide the 3M adhesive. And I just used Glossy Accents to hold that in place. And that's my card for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.